Wait, Chris Angel's a guy?
No, he's an angel.
Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and learned a bunch of stuff. And Bo and Andrew didn't go to college and were able to sidestep mountains of unnecessary debt. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Well, grab your friends. Let's listen together on Get Dumped On an Info Dump Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get Dumped On, an Info Dump podcast. I'm your best friend, Zach, and I'm here to say welcome and thanks for listening to Get Dumped On, an Info Dump podcast. I'm Zach, your favorite member of the podcast, and joining me here is Bo.
Hey, it's me, your best friend and favorite member of the podcast, Bo.
And Andrew.
Hi. Zach is not your favorite member of the podcast if you listen to the last episode.
That's rude. And
Also, my name is
Ash.
Andrew.
And Ash, who is hosting this episode today.
Hello, welcome to this episode today.
It's going to be great. Take it away.
Wahoo! Today, we are going to be talking about the Queen of Magic.
What? There's a queen?
She said the Queen of Magic. Listen.
All hail. I have no idea who this is or what they are.
Yeah, tell me about the Queen of Magic. Who's the Queen of Magic?
It's your majesty, and you show respect.
Is it real? Is it a real person?
Yeah, the Queen of Magic is an all but forgotten true story of one of the most popular stage performers of her time. Her name was Adelaide, and she was born in 1853 in London, and she was quite literally a contributor to the style of stage shows and magic that we now even enjoy today. She was a pioneer in her field of onstage magic and illusions and acrobatics. She was a talented and fearless performer, just an all-around badass, but she has largely been forgotten to time. She was...
Why? I wonder why. But why has she been forgotten to time?
Because I don't know who the fuck she is.
Adelaide's a great name.
Everyone
That's a good
knows.
name.
If Bo doesn't know, then no one knows.
That's why it rhymes. And things that rhymes have to be true.
She has two last names on the record, Adelaide, and I don't know how to say them, and I'm so sorry. They're Belgian, but
It's okay,
Adelaide
she's dead.
Scarez, S-C-A-R-E-Z, or Scare, but also spelled Scarcia with the S-I-A at the end instead. So I'm not sure. We're going to go with Adelaide.
Why did she have two last names? Was she a criminal?
I think it's just one of those things where in the 1800s, record keeping wasn't great. Also, people don't have social security numbers. Names were just kind of what you said they were.
A lot of people have two last names.
God, I wish that was now,
She's very indecisive. She couldn't decide on which name she went. So one year she was this, one year she was that.
That's not what it was.
Nope, that's what it was.
I get that there's social security numbers. They're very important now. I understand that. But I do long for, the days of where you could just make some shit up and
you
just
could
be
just
a
be
different
like,
person
yeah,
for a while.
this is my name and this was my birthday and I'm from this place. And everyone's like, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you didn't like the way your life was going, you could just move across the country and pick a new name for yourself and bada bing, bada boom.
Okay, real quick, before Ash moves on, what would your fake name be if you did that? Zach, go.
Richard Ledyard.
That sounds like a guy who loves mowing his lawn.
Mm-hmm. Yard is in the name.
Yeah. But what would your fake name be?
This is my fake name. This is what I call my stage name. You guys will never know my real name.
Oh my God, he already did it.
Because I'm on the lam. Catch me,
Ash,
Gupper.
What would your fake name be, Ash?
Benjamin Wright.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a fancy actor.
I'm a man now. You have to pay me the man dollars and give me the man respect.
Pay me 15% more.
Everyone give them the man dollars. I wish I got man dollars.
Anyway, back to Adelaide.
That's fine. No one has to ask me. It's okay.
She was... Hey, Andrew, what would your...
Don't ask him. I
want to pick two things that are on my screen right now. Helsinki, Frankfurt.
Those are just place names. It's fine.
My name's going to be OBS Studios GeForce Experience.
Whoa. Wow. What's the origin on that?
It's hyphen too. Oh, French.
Oh, wow. Forms must be a nightmare. But there's no forms to where we're coming from. Anyway, she was contemporaries with Harry Houdini.
My name is Audacity Firefox.
That's actually pretty fucking cool.
Arguably, at the time, she was even more popular than Harry Houdini. She was more well known. In her later career, she's known as Adelaide Herrman, or the Queen of Magic. Herrman
Munster
was after she was married. She was also called the Queen of Magic. She dazzled stages all across the world for 50 or so years, 30 of those were done as the most popular solo female performer of her time, and honestly just one of the most popular performers on vaudeville ever in its existence.
Pretty cool.
So when she was young, she studied dance and acrobatics. She learned to ride the velocipede, which is like a bicycle, but the wheels look a little different than the ones we know today. They're a little bigger and skinnier.
They're shaped
Also
as
known as
a
the
raptor.
dinosaur. Yeah, it's a dinosaur cycle.
That's
the
the
dino cycle?
bicycle that has the one really big wheel.
No, I don't think so.
I'm
I think so.
Googling it.
I'm fact checking it, and Zach is right.
Thank you.
I'm kidding. I didn't Google it. You think I had that time to Google it and remember the name you said it was? Come on,
It's
now.
just it's
Or spell it right.
it's a bicycle, but it's got really fucking big wheels.
The wheels
Like,
are pretty. Their wheels are bigger and they're
really
like
dumb.
really skinny.
Yeah, like stupidly big wheels. Whoever made
Because
this
they
was
hadn't
giggling while they
invented
made it.
gears yet.
So she rode a bike. That's an accomplishment.
She was an accomplished dancer. She was very acrobatic. She could. She was a part of this bicycle troupe where they would go around and they would ride with they would ride on each other's shoulders and they would do like mild, like circus kind of ish tricks
There's a
on their
biker gang.
bicycles.
A
They're a
velocipede
biker gang. The Velociraptors. That's too easy. I'm sorry.
Living in London when she was young, she was engaged to a stage comedian and invited by friends to see a show at the Egyptian Theater, which was a theater that her father had helped to build. And she saw the stage show of Herman the Great. In that show, he asked for audience participation. She volunteered and gave up her engagement ring. And he did the illusory magic in which he destroyed it and then magically returned it to her on a ribbon tied to a dove's neck, I believe is what it was. And she was delighted. The audience was delighted. It was a wonderful trick. And after that show, she decided she wanted to make her way to America because she wanted to join the ballet and be a stage performer.
And because she needed to get in touch with Nikola Tesla to make her a special gizmo to do magic with.
Yes, just like the movie Prestige. It's basically her life. And so she got on a ship in 1874 and was like, I'm going to go perform in America. I'm going to be in the ballet because she wanted to dance. So what happened to Adelaide on that fateful trip across the Atlantic?
Ooh. I don't know.
There was a vampire on board and it got loose and killed everyone.
There was a whale ship Essex that passed them on the way, and she waved them hello.
Amelia Earhart was steering that ship. You know she can't make it across the Atlantic.
Are you going to give us
Even though she
things,
wasn't
or are we
born
just
yet.
guessing?
Yeah.
I was going to give you things, but you were also enthusiastic about guessing that now I don't want to give you things anymore. And I'm just going to tell you.
No, give us things. We need it.
Did she fall overboard, get hypothermia-induced mono, and no longer able to sustain a ballet career? Were all of her belongings stolen, and was she forced to return to England? Or did she meet that very man, Alexander Herrman, again, and they fell madly in love on a boat ride magical time?
Third one.
Yeah,
Gotta be
no,
the third one.
the way that you presented it makes it seem like the third one is the correct one.
Horrible, awful, and great. I'm choosing great.
It's the great one. She met
Yay!
Alexander
Hooray!
Herrman again, who she had been at his stage show. His stage name was
She
Herman
like,
the Great.
What's up? Oh, you hot as fuck.
Oh yeah, once you engage me, huh? I'm ready for some engagement. Will you marry me? Yeah.
Zach, what are you doing?
I don't know.
What
You
was
can edit
that?
that out. You can edit that out.
It sounded like an old, like those old comedians, like whoop, 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 whoop.
Those old comedians. You mean Curly Howard?
Sure, the ones that just made noises and were funny. They didn't have to speak.
You're talking about one specific guy.
There's so many. There's thousands.
It's just the Three Stooges.
500,000. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Ash, take it over.
Her and Alexander hit it off immediately. It's a little bit unclear about the timeline between the end of Adelaide's engagement with the comedian London and the start of her relationship with Alexander. But what matters is that the two were instantly drawn to each other. They were hot and heavy pretty quickly, apparently, on this 2-week boat ride to America. Once she finally got to America, she found the ballet scene pretty difficult to crack. She was basically already seen as too old. She was 19 at the time. So she was basically an over-the-hill grandma who could never be a ballerina. So instead, she found herself performing in stage shows, burlesque and spectacle shows, because she was highly skilled in dance and she had high acrobatic prowess. By 1875, so a year later, Alexander and Adelaide got married in New York. Rumor is that the crowd reacted to their official nuptials with roaring applause, and Alexander reached his hand into the mayor's long beard, or other people say it was his pockets, and he produced a wad of bills in which he tossed up in the air, and then they disappeared.
So he reached inside something and created a big wad. Okay, that's what I heard.
Hold on. He grabbed inside of someone's beard and pulled out a fuckload of money, threw it in the air, and disappeared. Which is actually not that hard to do, because if you throw a bunch of money in the air, no one's paying attention to you. They pay attention to the money. It's like scramble. Like everyone's diving over each other to get the free money. You could make an easy getaway.
But this just shows that these two together they had a flair for the dramatic. They were performers and they were good at their craft. They couldn't help themselves, right?
Dude, watch that that fucking mayor is that was actually that was part of the town funds. I don't know how you knew that was in there, but you just fucked over this town.
Newspapers did later confirm that he paid the necessary fees and no one was lost any money. It was
okay.
A trick, an illusion, but it made for a great time. So after that, they started touring together. So Adelaide took center stage beside her husband. At first, she donned men's clothes and went by the name Mr. Alexander. And she mostly was helping him on stage until one day, Herman the Great turned to Adelaide as he accepted a strand of handkerchiefs that she had gathered from the crowd. He winked and said, "Mr. Alexander is now going to perform this next trick." And Adelaide was like, what? And ran from the stage in a panic because she hadn't really done
kind of mean
magic. But after a little bit of coaxing, she came back out. She performed the trick. She tied all the handkerchiefs together and blew on all the knots to make them disappear.
Nice.
And it was a hit. And that her take on this illusion became a fixture in their program moving forward. And she really started moving into the spotlight beside him, doing more of the tricks publicly.
So why was she dressed up as a man?
Probably because they thought that a 2-man stage show was a good gimmick.
To get that man money. Everyone knows that.
Maybe it was that. I don't really know. My guess is that...
Wait, was this around the time when they still thought witches were a thing? Because if she did any stage magic, they would have been like, get her.
I mean, a little bit, but no, it was not like that. At this time, spiritualism and mediumship was really popular. So people being possessed by ghosts and talking to the dead and stuff was really big in popular culture. So it wasn't that crazy, but women on the stage weren't really a thing as much, especially not doing magic.
Was she one of the first who broke through, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Or am I asking questions about the future? Should I stop?
No, when you look back at when I was looking back into this, I only saw a couple of women pop up who were magician illusory stage performers from this time. Really only 2.
And so at this point in the story, how old is she and what year is it?
So this is a couple years after they got married. So this is 1877, probably.
Okay.
She's ancient at this point, at the ripe age of 21.
Cool.
She's pretty much an old maid.
Yeah, they were married when she was 19 or 20. And then immediately they basically started doing magic and touring together.
I want to do magic with my spouse. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Do you want to learn how to do magic together?
I mean, maybe. I'm too clumsy, though. I'm not good at sleight of hand and stuff.
Just dress up as a man. It worked out for Adelaide.
But she was actually good at the tricks, though. She was really talented. I don't know that I have that.
Was she, though?
Yeah, she was. That actually leads right into my next point, which is many women at this time, if they were involved in the stage, they were just seen as magicians' assistants, right? They were the kind of non-entity beautiful woman who stands around and looks pretty while the magician does all the actual work, right?
I kind of saw that coming. That's pretty much the test of time, is if there's a woman involved in anything, she's a sidekick.
Yeah, It's sexist fuckery.
Yeah.
And it's...
I'm sorry, I'm kidding.
It's terrible because...
Would you like to give your take on that?
Yes. Go women.
Magicians' assistants are often centered in the tricks that they're quote-unquote assisting. They're the ones getting sawed in half. They're the ones doing contortion. They're the ones escaping the water tank with their hands tied and slipping knots and distracting the audience and doing sleight of hand tricks. But also they're doing it while wearing tight clothes and long dresses and looking beautiful and making it seem like they're not contributing anything. So
take that, men.
Just always like to point out the sexist fuckery when you see it, because it's just a larger trend of people devaluing women's contributions to craft and labor,
It's a constant story throughout history, is women doing all of is basically nothing men doing being possible without women in in these sorts of roles, and therefore the men get all the credit while the women get overlooked.
It also kind of talks about the manager aspect of most workplaces. Like if the people at the bottom are always the ones doing the work, yet the people at the top are always the ones reaping the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
We need a hostile takeover.
Boss makes $1, I make $0.10.
That's why I do magic on company time.
That's why I do magic on company time. It's just like with the cookie myth that we were talking about last time in the Comfort Foods episode, where it's a pervasive myth that Ruth Wakefield accidentally invented this cookie.
You had to bring that up, did you? Okay.
Well, I'm not specifically calling you out. I'm just saying we've seen this before, where a woman put a lot of time and work into something, skilled labor.
They're like, oh, she did it by accident.
Yeah,
what a clumsy woman.
Exactly, for history to be like, oh, she's so silly. She ran out of chocolate and she was just knocked it into the bowl.
And she took a man's invention and made it better.
Yeah, so sexist fuckery aside, Adelaide was a very skilled magician in her own right, even before she took the stage in a solo capacity. Her handkerchief.
Now, when she took the stage in solo capacity, did she present herself as Adelaide, or was she still pretending to be the guy?
We'll get there.
Okay.
After a time, she stopped being Mr. Alexander, even when they were still together, her and Herman. She was a true partner in the show, not just in the stage, but in the advertising, in the themes. So they showcased in these shows together not only their shared illusory talents, but they would have Adelaide play these figures. She would be like levitated while sleeping. They did a trick where they would make a show where she was a witch who was getting like burned at the stake, or she was like possessed, and they cremated her. Like literally there was like fire on the stage. Like it looked like she was being burned alive. And then she returned moments later dressed like a ghost, and she terrorized Alexander, her husband, who had killed her, quote unquote.
That's amazing. I love that.
That's a good trick.
In one show when they started,
before you go any further,
more than anything, I want to know what her ghost house. More than anything, I want to know what her ghost costume looked like.
I don't know. It was so hard to find information on these tricks and what they looked like and how they were done. Like,
I'm hoping it wasn't just a sheet. I assume it was just for the speed factor of it. Like if she,
I think
magic has to go quickly,
or maybe she like was just dressed in all white and like lit differently. I don't know. Maybe she painted her face. I don't know.
Lighting does change a lot of stuff. Wait, so when she was a guy, what name did she go by again?
Mr. Alexander.
Did anyone like ever catch Mr. Alexander and the magician guy making out on the stage?
No, and also when I was so
because I would love that.
She went by Mr. Alexander.
My God, magic.
And her husband's name was Alexander Herrman. So like she was like Mr. I don't know. It's something seemed, I don't know.
Hey Andrew, what would you do if somebody called you Alexandru?
I would be weird. Very confused.
Hey Alexandru, how the fuck
I would ask why, and then I would not accept that answer because there's really no answer that would make sense for someone to say that.
Yes,
unless me and my sister, we have a sister named Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
What if we ran fast enough at each other and like morphed into each other?
That's the like only a Steven thing. Universe gem.
Exactly. That's the only thing I could think of for someone to call me and
that
Alex.
That would be probably your fusion name. No, because you become someone different.
Your parents like the letter A? Jesus.
Yeah, they really do.
They did.
Adelaide and Alexander were extremely popular with their show. They started touring Europe and South America. In one of their shows, when they were touring in South America, their trapeze artist didn't show up for work. And so they were performing. Go ahead.
She stepped the fuck up.
She stepped the fuck up, quite literally, because the thing that acrobat was performing was the human cannonball.
Oh, shit.
So she climbed into the cannon and they shot her out of it. And she probably did a cool flip. She came out
as a ghost.
And she landed and it was awesome. And she was really good at it. And I don't know if they kept like doing it, but it really showcases her athletic prowess that she was just like, yeah, okay.
Dude, for real, how fun does it, like, imagine you had one of those at your disposal and you were next to a lake. Would you? I would.
If I was next to a lake, yeah, I would do it.
I would 100%. That looks so fun. Or a giant thing of soft stuff near you as well. Either or.
In this show, they also took advantage of Adelaide's talents in dancing and pageantry. They both had, so Alexander Herrman the Great, as his stage name was, how everybody knew him. He had a really striking presence. He had a really good stage presence. He had a big booming voice and he had a very particular look. He had that like upturned mustache, like, he was like a well-recognizable guy. And so, her history with like being in the ballet and being in shows, she understood like stage pageantry. Because many performers at this time were operating on a really small scale. Acts were focused on crowd work in small theaters. They didn't have this like big grandeur and spectacle that like we come to know from a stage show, right? So Adelaide and Herrman put together their flair for pageantry and dramatics. They would incorporate bespoke musical scores. They had elaborate backgrounds. They had costuming. They had dance. She would twirl in red and orange silks, and it like looked like she was dancing in fire because she was like spinning.
Cool.
And apparently it like looked awesome. And so this really set them apart from other magicians at the time because they were really kind of like blazing a new way into a different style of stage show. One that like Vegas would be nowhere without.
Yeah, 100%. God, how cool are those shows in Vegas? They're so goddamn cool.
There's a reason people like them.
And without
They're
Adelaide,
cool.
we probably wouldn't have had them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe, but she certainly was one of the first people to be doing it, and she did it really well.
Fuck yeah.
Some say that Adelaide was even more skilled than Alexander, especially at sleight of hand tricks, because she started to, over time, invent her own, but they were very difficult
I thought you
to
meant
pull
pick
off.
his pocket.
No.
Yeah, what do you think her bonus was?
What do you think? What was?
What do you think her bonus was to sleight of hand rolls?
Oh, plus 10, plus 30.
She would just pick everyone's pocket in the theater while they're watching the show, and she would cash that on the side. You know what I'm saying?
No, she was on the up and up. She made her money honorably. She would encourage Alexander to do her tricks sometimes, but apparently he could never really pull them off that well because they were too hard. She made a trick where various colors of sand would be poured into a bowl of water, and then the magician like reaches in and pulls it out, and it's dry sand out of the water. And Herrman the Great tried to do it on stage, and he fucked it up and embarrassed himself. And so after that, he was like, Adelaide, I'm not going to do your tricks anymore because I can't do them.
They could never step foot in Fresno ever again.
I wonder if it was because she had smaller hands.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know.
She'd definitely be really good at picking up, weird little things that got stuck between the edge of the sofa and the wall.
That's not magic.
She'd be so useful grabbing the stuff that falls between my seat in my car too. Just my
That's
phone.
So diminishing
magic.
her talents again.
She got these
What
tiny hands.
these men over here trying to
I'm not
diminish her
diminishing
talent.
talents. I am celebrating
Tiny hands.
utilitarian skills.
I'm a big supporter of tiny hands. I've made that loud and clear since day one of this podcast.
Have you?
Oh, have you? Wow.
Honestly, the way that you're saying this makes me feel a little gross. I don't want to associate with this anymore.
Anyway, this is
What do you
all
love
not
the
to.
most about tiny hands?
I'm just going to keep
What's
going.
the
This is
most?
all not to
It makes
diminish
it
Alexander's
look
talents, though.
bigger.
Oh, God, because he was one of the greatest illusory. Oh, God, Bo, I can't. Sometimes you can have inside thoughts that don't have to leave your mouth.
The people need to hear it.
It's really hard for Bo to keep
Do
all those
they?
thoughts in because he just has so many thoughts in there. They start spilling out,
This podcast is like therapy
I'm sure
for me.
that's it. That seems unhealthy. You should get a real therapist. Anyway, so part of what made this couple such a powerhouse is because Herrman the Great was one of the greatest illusory acts ever to grace the stage. And with Adelaide beside him, he was able to teach her all of his like inside knowledge, all of his skills and tricks. They were able to bounce ideas off of each other. Because magicians at this time were supernaturally very protective of their secrets. They didn't want to give away how they were doing these illusions, just like the movie The Prestige. But with Adelaide as his wife and his confidant and his partner, they were able to develop amazing tricks and amazing shows and grow their craft together as this powerhouse of a magic duo.
Hey, real quick, I have an idea. Before the end of this podcast, like right after we say what our favorite things that we learned was, while Ash is talking, in the back of your mind, I would like you guys to think of a magic trick that you made up, and we will present them at the end.
I'm not creative enough for that, dog.
Yeah.
This is not a request. This is a demand, so do that.
All right, we'll see
Something
how it
else
goes.
that they started
I'll start
incorporating
thinking about
into their show that other people didn't really do at the time was include popular culture and like comedy. They were like magic comedy. They would riff on political scandals, fashion trends. In like I was saying before, in the Victorian era, spiritualism was very popular, and magicians of this time hated spiritualism because spiritualism was people lying to others pretending to be like talk to the dead, pretending to paint paintings like, oh, I was possessed by Pablo Picasso and I painted this. Not Pablo
But that's
Picasso
what
in the
magic
1800s.
is. Magic is also lying.
But magicians, especially Herman the Great and Adelaide, were very adamant that people knew that these were tricks. They knew that this wasn't real magic.
Okay.
They wanted people to know that it wasn't real and still be so in awe of how they did it that is where like the magic is, so to speak. But spiritualism,
It was the friends we made along the way.
It was the friends we made along the way. It's the fact that you know that they did it, but you just, it looks so unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be. I obviously don't think that any sort of magician on stage is an actual, wizard.
Have you seen Chris Angel's Mind Freak? Come on.
I have never recovered from that show.
The only thing I remember is he
mind's
puts his
permanently
arms
freaked.
out and then he levitates. That's all I got
So
for Chris
freaked
Angel
right now.
Mind Freak.
But so it's not like, wow, this man's magic. That's insane. It's more like, wow, this is really creative and like an amazing sort of display of talent. This is a very intriguing thing. I wonder how
But-
it happened.
If you think about it, that's kind of being mean to magicians because shouldn't you give them the credit for being magic?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it seems like a lot of them, especially at this time at least, didn't want you to think that they were actually doing magic. Like, it's kind of funny.
They just want you to think that they're
did.
They're
Yeah,
very
well-
good with their fingers.
In their show,
This is the
they would-
1870s. Nobody was burning anybody at the stake in the 1870s.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I
In
wasn't there.
America, no. They just hated that people were losing out on money and like being duped. And so in their show, they would make fun of it. Sometimes they would publicly debunk mediums and psychics. He would expose them by replicating how a lot of spiritualists would do their tricks. So like it was kind of the stuff like, oh, is anybody here with a dad with a name that starts with M? Like
What's like the guy? What's his name? John Edward.
Sure.
That fucker that got exposed.
John Wilkes Booth. Yeah.
That's his brother.
Who's
They have the
John
same first
Edward?
name, but not the same last
John
name.
Edwards. I don't know.
Remember the crossing over with John Edward? Or whatever? It was one of those medium things. It was a show.
Oh.
And like he'd walk into a room and it would just be a bunch of people and he'd be like, "Does anyone have a partner of a dead person with
have
the
a
last name
grandfather who wore a
of M
watch.
or E or J or K or R?" And then someone would be like, "Oh, mine was an R," and then they like, "Whoa!" And it was horrible. It was stupid. It was the dumbest thing in the world.
Did he happen
It's
to
all
be
just crowd
in
work.
a war? Oh my god, he was in a war. It's like, yeah, they all were.
It's like, no shit, dude. Let me guess. They are old and or dead. Yeah. Whoa.
So Alexander would be like exposing and like replicating spiritualism of the time.
Good.
In
like
one
this guy.
instance, they helped to expose a famous medium named Anne Odelia Disdebar, who was eventually sent to jail
Good. That name sucks.
because she did exactly that. She said she was possessed by the spirit of a famous artist, and then she would sell those paintings for a shitload of money.
It's like Miss Cleo.
And Harry Houdini also famously spoke out against her. The entire magic community celebrated when she was finally behind bars because they just hated that this woman was tricking people.
Like, fuck this lady, dude.
I agree.
Soon, I mean, they were obviously extremely popular. People loved them. They were living the lavish life. They had a mansion in New York. They had a yacht docked in Long Island Sound. They had a private railroad car that was rumored to cost $40,000, which is $800,000 in today's
Jesus
money.
Christ. You gotta get that
Wow.
magician money, guys.
Their stage show
Yeah.
was the highest earning acts of the era, making a reported what is now $2 million a year.
I
And
imagine it's probably hard to make a
Wow.
living as a magician these days.
This
Yeah.
seems like a grand fortune, but Alexander had no trouble spending it. Lavish furnishings, failed investment
Classic.
endeavors. He soon racked up quite a bit of debt.
Just like Curly Howard, just like you were talking about, Andrew, Alexandru, Curly Howard,
Tale
doing
as
the woo woo
old
woos.
as
He
time.
got a lot of debt too.
He's like, "Hey, I'll buy that over there."
Wow, wow, wow.
Alexander's life of luxury caught up to him in 1896, where after a rousing party and subsequent train ride in their private car to Philadelphia, Adelaide Herrman entered her room. It was Alexander, pale in the face and unable to breathe.
Oh no.
What did the doctor diagnose Herman the Great with just a few months prior?
He choked on his money.
A, terrible humors of the mind. B, the worst kind of tobacco heart.
Oh.
Or C, a debaucherous spirit causing tainted blood.
Oh, I'm hoping that last one. I really,
yeah.
truly hope that it's the spirits got him.
What was the
He
middle one? You said
debunked
the
so many
tobacconist
people
heart?
talking to spirits that they came after him because they're like,
Spooky spirits.
dare
Go
you.
spirits.
B is the worst kind of tobacco heart.
That sounds like the way that a doctor would talk at that time.
It sounds more real. I'm just hoping for the ghosty one. You know what I'm saying? Ghosties.
But what was your answer?
Spooky ghosts.
Spooky ghost. It's spooky.
The answer
musician.
was
Mind freak.
B. The
Oh, okay.
doctor had diagnosed him a few months prior with the worst kind of tobacco heart. And unless he stopped his excessive cigarette smoking, he would not live more than 2 years.
Holy crap.
Adelaide
Let me
had
guess.
pressed.
He didn't.
He did not. Adelaide had pressed her husband to give up the habit, but alas, she said he could not or would not. And that fateful day in 1896, he came into her train car, pale in the face, unable to breathe. She attempted to give him some whiskey water, which apparently was a thing that you gave people when they were sick back then.
She's
Oh
like,
my
yeah, I'm going
God.
to take some cocaine to help with your tobacco
Take some
heart.
whiskey.
I'm gonna start using.
You're
that.
having a heart attack. You know it's good. Whiskey.
Alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're bleeding? Let's give you alcohol. To no avail, and he died in her arms. His funeral was held
Good night,
later
sweet
that
prince.
month. It was extremely well attended. So many people attended it that it blocked off the streets.
Please tell me
Unfortunately,
they made his casket disappear or something. Please.
I did not read about any hijinks at his funeral.
God damn it.
Were
dude,
they-
they're
were they
so close to
expecting-
perfection.
Do you think they were expecting that, at
He
any
wasn't
moment in
actually
time for him
dead?
to pop out
Dude,
of
He
the
probably.
pops out. He's like, ah, ta-da.
This was my greatest show.
Ha come see our show. Yeah.
But how would he ever
Everyone
top?
leaves just sad.
How would he ever top that though? At the point, this is my
That's
Yeah,
true.
right.
You'd have to
You've
retire. You'd
You've
have to retire
peaked.
immediately.
Unfortunately for Adelaide, all of the attendees went on their way, and she was left alone with a 20-person troupe of actors, animals, properties, and all of Alexander's debts. So December 22nd of that year, she went to the courthouse and declared that the property left by the magician was worth not more than $2,000, and that his debts far exceeded the amount of the estate left by him. What a girl to do, you know? She wrote in her memoirs. I tried to find her memoirs. I looked everywhere. They had it in a school library in Stony Brook, New York, but I could not find a copy of her memoirs. I tried really hard. They don't make copies. They're don't make prints of it anymore. I couldn't find it a PDF anywhere. I couldn't find it online. I couldn't find it in person. I was very sad. I found
Well, that's why
snippets
everyone
of it.
forgot about her.
Yeah, I mean, she wrote a whole memoir about her life. I could find snippets of it across various articles. And in one of them, she said, "It's among the most pathetic aspects of the stage, of which the general public knows little or nothing, is that it allows no time for the indulgence of private sorrow." She immediately knew what she had to do. She had to get back up on the horse, as it were. She rejected all the offers to buy her show because she knew her value, and she didn't want to throw away 20 years of hard work and the tricks and the audience that she had built with her husband. So she decided to push forward. She knew that she could continue the popular show. She's like, I built a popular show. I can do it again. I'm going to continue to support myself on the stage and my company because all these people depend on me. So she immediately went into action. She hired Alexander's nephew named Leon, who he had been lightly training to take over his mantle. The two apparently shared a very similar look. But either unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the partnership between Adelaide and Leon only lasted a couple of years. I think it was less than 3 years.
Hey, chat, tell me, has there ever
Did you say
been a
chat?
trustworthy person named Leon? I really can't think of it.
This is not Twitch, sir. There's
It's true.
no chat.
The kings of Leon, their sex is on fire. You don't want any of that.
Yeah, and exactly. And all of their music after that was shit. So, see, untrustworthy.
And before it, too.
Well, apparently he sucked because even though he looked like his uncle, he didn't have a fraction of the theatricality or stage presence. And he had an issue with Adelaide's role in the show. He didn't want to be managed by her. She was, by all accounts, the stage manager. She knew all the tricks. She knew all the people. She knew what sparked interest. And he didn't want her to be in charge. And he didn't want to pay her to be his manager.
What?
And
Motherfucker, she hired you. Fuck this guy. I hate this guy.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine because they went their separate ways.
He was very much not Leon the professional
He was not a professional, but she was a
With-
consummate professional.
with Jean Reno.
Yes.
And
she was
Natalie
like, you know
Portman.
what? Without Leon weighing me down, I'm just going to do it on my own. Fuck it. I'm going to do it by myself. And so she decided to start performing on her own. Here's a little dumpity chumpity. What trick really shot Adelaide into the stratosphere in terms of popularity after Alexander's death?
Cannons, shot.
So-
Get it?
So I'm going to give you 3 tricks that she did. You're going to tell me which one was the most popular.
Okay.
Is it the Phantom Bride? Through hypnotism, quote unquote, she made a bride's body draped in a white dress rise on a brightly lit stage. She would pass a hoop over her hovering form, showing that there were no wires. And then when she pulled away the white silk, she was gone.
Pretty cool.
Was it the bullet catch? A line of riflemen would join her on stage as she asked the crowd to inspect her bullets, each with a special mark. The guns were loaded and aimed at her. The audience held their breath. The guns fired. The smoke cleared. And Adelaide was standing, the marked bullets still hot, clutched in her hands. Or was it the witch? Stumbled onto the stage dressed as an old woman trying to reach a fire burning in the darkness. When she finally arrives at the pyre, she dives directly into the flames. Unlike their old act, where she was cremated and she returned as a ghost, this time she emerged reborn, young, youthful, smiling, and she whirled to the swell of music with cathartic abandon.
Hot as fuck.
That
I'll go
one
with
sounds great.
That sounds cool. I would like to see
I'm
that.
into it. I like it, and it's thematically it's thematic.
It's so.
Plus, I don't like
thematic.
guns, so I don't want to like perpetuate using guns shooting toward women.
Well, the audience at the time loved shooting bullets at women. They actually just loved
God.
the bullet catch. Well, because it was dangerous, right? And
They're like, yeah, shoot the woman. They're like, oh man, she caught it.
a couple people had actually died
Don't worry,
doing the
one
bullet
time
catch.
you'll get her.
It's a very easy trick to go wrong, just like in The Prestige, where he slips a button into the gun and shoots his hand. Spoilers if you haven't seen The Prestige.
Oh yeah, the Prestige, 18-year-old movie.
She even had urged her husband not to do it when he was still alive, as she thought that it was too dangerous. But at this point, she was like, you know what? I'm a woman,
Get
and
the
I
guns.
I gotta get this. This show has to be popular. It's literally all I have. I'm a good ass magician. I'm gonna do the bullet catch. And if you recall from the description, it wasn't just one shooter. She would invite 6 people to shoot her. 6 bullets. She did say how she did this one because it was.
Did she catch all 6?
She caught all 6.
The fuck? Like Neo?
So I assume then that means that they shot them like sequentially, right? And not simultaneously.
Yeah, all at once, I would guess. I don't know, though. It never really said. But they would do a little sleight of hand trick where they would swap out the bullets for burned bullets that looked like they had been fired. There was never any bullets in the gun. Classic. People were like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And because she was a woman, people were like, good damn. This is wild. And so she was just immediately already so popular. She did do the other 2 tricks, and they were extremely popular. But the bullet catch, because of its dangerous aspect, was really the one. Because she was like, okay, now that I'm on my own, I got to do something that proves that I am the best in the game. And it was the bullet catch, you know?
That's badass.
It's really badass. The Phantom Bride and the Witch, she did do. Her new show highlighted her femininity and her illusory talents. It touched on themes of love and loss, undoubtedly influenced by her life. It included a lot of the tricks that I talked about before. She's the only woman to ever have been known to accomplish the trick on stage.
Which one?
The bullet catch.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the other ones too were like of her own invention, so like she also was the only one to do those. But like that one in particular, she did tricks that like I think are impressive even to today's standards. She did one where she would disappear into a puff of red smoke and Satan appeared in her place.
Cool.
That's sick.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like all of this like witchy Satan-y stuff is great. It's a great theme for a magic show because it really plays up the whole, witchy Satan-y part of it. I feel like I was going somewhere with that. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I wish that it would come back around. We should do more of that stuff. She would also levitate off the ground, her long, elegant dress flowing under her. There was a trick where she would lay down in a coffin and then someone would set it on fire and she would escape. She brought back some of her bicycle tricks where she would ride with another girl atop her shoulders, and then she would do intricate dances with pyres of, like I said before, red and orange silk. She was always coming up with new ideas, adding new aspects to her show. When she got a little bit older, she began to slow down on the acrobatics and she incorporated more animals into her show. She started an act called Noah's Ark, where she amassed a collection of 200 animals. It wasn't actually 200, but it was a lot. At first, an ark was shown on stage empty, and then buckets of water symbolizing the flood were poured down its chimney. Soon, 2 cats, one black and one white, climbed from the chimney, and then a drawbridge emerged where there flowed out a parade of what was all dogs in costumes: birds, leopards, lions, tigers, zebras, elephants, a flock of white doves, a biblical goat, and then
What the fuck is a
Birds,
biblical
but they're
goat?
dogs in costumes.
She had dogs in costumes.
What's a biblical goat? Like a goat with a Bible taped to it? I don't
And he has like
understand.
a nice long beard. He's basically Jesus
I think
goat.
it's a white goat. And then it would reveal a lounging woman dressed in white, which was her. And it was by all means a smash hit. People loved Noah's Ark.
This is her Dwight moment. It's all going to be goat.
It's all gonna be goat. It's all dog.
Yeah.
She continued performing into her 70s when,
Wow.
unfortunately, tragedy struck.
Tobacco Heart?
What happened to Adelaide in 1926?
Tobacco Heart.
Chris Angel came, freaked her mind.
She was never the same.
Yep.
Oh, it's weird to think of these like Victorian, like what feels like Victorian era magicians like surviving into like the 1920s.
Yeah. A breakout of avian flu caused an entire theater of people to get ill. The warehouse containing her props, costumes, and animals burned down, leaving her with nothing. Or while crossing the Atlantic, returning from a tour, Adelaide fell overboard and got hypothermia-induced mono, and it ended her career.
Hey, this is the thing you said earlier.
You said that
the fact that
before.
it wasn't
did say that before.
but now it's here again makes me think that either this is the answer this time, or you're being very tricksy.
Well, Ash likes to trick us with these things historically. So I'm not going to go with that third one, even though it's probably the third one.
Avian flu, warehouse fire, or mono?
I think that it's the mono.
I'm going to go with avian flu.
The answer is B. The warehouse containing all of her props, costumes, and yes, her animals burned down, leaving her with nothing. Although she was
And then she
extremely
died?
successful, she had given up the Whitestone Mansion, the mansion that they had in New York. It's called the Whitestone Mansion. She gave that up. She stored all of her props, all of her illusions, decades of mementos, basically everything she owned. Her trained animals at a theatrical warehouse on West 46th Street in Manhattan. On September 7th, 1926, her morning was interrupted by a phone call in which she was informed that the warehouse had caught fire. She arrived to the building to see that firefighters had pumped so much water into the street, or onto the inferno, that the street was like a river. She was told that all of her animals were lost, but she ended up finding, someone was like yelling, like, look, and pointed up to a window where one of her cats was up there. And so she called it down and it landed in the water in the street, but it was safe. So she also found her poodle and her fox terrier. She had over 60 animals, and she only found those 3, which is very sad. She, in her memoirs, her heartbreak is tangible, particularly for the loss of what she called the best talent among animal thespians, as well as a fellow vaudeville entertainer named Thomas Collins, who was in the warehouse and was found, quote, locked in the embrace of his famous boxing kangaroo, unquote.
Oh my God, that's
Jesus
so
Christ.
sad.
Yeah, really, really sad. So everything was gone. Her over 200 crates of costumes and illusions and 50 years of her life, from wedding silver to everything she had that she built with Alexander and Post.
And a guy.
And a man. And all of her animals. Literally, basically everything that she owned for her show. But this did not stop Adelaide. Even at the age of 73, she said, summoning all of my remaining courage to my aid, I clung persistently to the thought that I should rise again, phoenix-like from these ashes, to face another future. She rebounded with another pared-down show called Magic, Grace, and Music, highlighting the 3 elements at which she had excelled in her career. She performed until 1928 before retiring.
That's at least a decent rebound from a fire destroying all of your animals, props, and a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's horrible.
After retirement from the stage, she wrote her memoirs, which I could not find. Makes me so sad.
And I'll vouch for that. There was a lot of effort put into finding those memoirs.
I tried really hard.
I saw many steps of it, and they were just unfindable. So please, nobody accuse Ash of not doing thorough research. It was just unfindable.
I wasn't going to accuse Ash of that,
bad
but
research.
yeah, I think it's going to happen.
How
now.
dare you?
And
dare
the
you?
only books I could find about
tell
her
me not
were,
to do something, because I'm going to do it.
were like
Don't
books
have a
written
nice
for
night.
children about like women in history. And like, I don't want to read no kid's book about her. She's way too badass to be boiled down to fit for her narrative for a child.
Yeah, kids are idiots.
And then on that note, she died on February 19th, 1932 from pneumonia at the age of 79.
Ah, yes, tobacco.
And she's
heart,
dead.
lung.
Tobacco pneumonia.
She died
Tobacco pneumonia.
much unlike she lived.
Breathing?
She died quietly and out of the public eye. She was buried next to her beloved husband at the Woodlawn Cemetery in New York. And one final dumpity chumpity for you. What is printed on Adelaide's gravestone? Does it say
Bad bitch, no muzzle.
bad bitch, no muzzle?
Now you
Does
see
it
me,
say-
now you don't.
Oh, that would be so good. Andrew, do you want to get a quip in?
She got the meats. Arby's.
Ooh,
Well,
that's when
way
it came up with
before
the
her
slogan.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arbalade.
She's the first.
Yeah, the owner of Arby's was the creator of Arby's was hanging around at Woodlawn Cemetery in New York,
Yeah.
perusing.
Oh,
She
God, that lady's got
was
the
the
meats.
creator of Arby's. Part of her esteemed legacy.
So does her gravestone say Adelaide Herrman, the Queen of Magic, in parentheses, Adelaide Herrman, magician extraordinaire, in parentheses, or does it say Adelaide Herrman, wife, in parentheses?
I feel like I'm going to be disappointed right now.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
the
going with
fact that
first
you
one.
introduced
I'm
her
going
as
with
the
my
Queen
answer.
of Magic makes me want to say that it's Queen of Magic, but the fact that you said that she's largely forgotten and doesn't get the credit she deserves makes me think that it says Adelaide Herrman, wife.
That's right, folks. After all that, after a long, illustrious career that even outspanned her husband, she is still not recognized for her contributions to her craft at her final resting place. She is Adelaide Herrman, wife, buried next to Alexander Herrman, Herrman the Great.
We
That
should
fucking
change
sucks,
that.
dude.
Let's go change that.
Yeah.
Right?
Where
It
is
should say Adelaide
Where'd you say
Herrman, the
it
Queen
was?
of Magic. It's in New York at the Woodlawn Cemetery.
I'm bringing chisels. Let's go.
The
Oh, yeah.
Queen of Magic it is. I think that's great.
Queen of Magic, bad bitch, no muzzle. She had the fucking meats. That's what we're putting
Yeah.
on
That's
there.
a
absolutely.
lot of space on a very small gravestone.
Gone but never forgotten.
I like that you're
Well,
nice
except
to
when
me,
she was
now you don't.
forgotten.
Except for how she's been forgotten. She once stated, quote, I shall not be content until I'm recognized by the public as a leader in my profession and entirely irrespective of the question of sex, unquote. And I think that she accomplished that in her time. I don't know that, especially in the late 1800s, early 1900s, people could separate the idea of sex from an individual's person. But if it wasn't then God damn it, it's now. She was one of the best magicians to have ever lived.
What about Chris Angel?
I mean, yeah, he's good too. David Blaine, sure.
Wait,
But
Chris Angel's a guy?
Adelaide Herrman.
No, he's an angel.
Did you ever see the time when David Blaine filled that guy's cup with Cheez-Its?
What?
Jesus.
And then he bolused to them?
Jesus. What the F?
What the F?
Stop putting things on our bodies. I was in dinosaur times. Oh, we gotta watch those now. He's filling
Andrew,
their
what's-
mouths with orange soda whenever they try to speak.
For someone who had such a long and fantastic career, who shaped the very industry of profession as we know it, it sucks that more people don't know her name. So I wanted to do this podcast and to let everybody know, all 20 people who listen to this, thanks for listening to this. I hope you enjoy listening to Adelaide Herrman. We're not done yet, though, quite. Just to tell everybody about her amazing life and what an amazing person that she was. It's so interesting because Harry Houdini, he's a household name. You ask people, well, what was Harry Houdini's whole deal? They're like, oh, he was a magic guy.
He died from appendicitis.
Yeah, but I think because he died in a controversial way, that helped his legacy to stay. But because she died in relative peace and she had lost all of her belongings, not that long before,
Annie,
there's
And
no
then he had like a
memorabilia.
stamp at the cemetery. It said wife. So,
He had a penis too, so.
Mm.
Or did he?
Well, as we
Didn't
all
help
know,
him
you
with his
can't do
appendix.
magic without your penis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
you
be
can
well
though.
known.
You can though. Yeah,
I never
that
heard
one.
of this lady, even though you told me
We
all these
just-
facts about her.
Maybe if there was still Adelaide Herrman memorabilia out there, she would be more well known. But history's not kind to women folk.
Why is that?
I like to say now that you're kick ass, Adelaide. If you're listening to this from beyond the grave, even though you hated spiritualism and didn't believe in it,
yeah, she'd be mad right now if you were saying that.
pave the way for, like I said, not only women on the stage, but just the entire concept of the type of stage show that we still enjoy to this day. Cirque du Soleil, give it up for Adelaide Herrman.
Hey, here.
I said David.
har.
I don't know any other magicians other than Chris Angel and David Blaine.
David Copperfield. Fucking Lance.
Armstrong.
Oh, God, that's the liar.
Oh, Neil Armstrong.
Oh, Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller.
Oh, yeah, Penn and Teller.
What's that Lance magician guy name? Lance Burton? Lance Burton.
I can't think of a single.
I don't know.
Think of a single magician. This is embarrassing.
I mean,
Think
look
of
at
Las Vegas. Anyone who's in Las Vegas is probably a magician, right?
Carrot Top.
Celine Dion, just up there doing sleight of
Britney
hand
Spears.
Carrot
tricks.
Top's not a
The Blue
magician.
Man
Carrot Top's
Group.
just a prop comic.
The Blue Man Group is definitely a magician.
if Carrot Top's a magician, then Gallagher is a magician.
Those melons disappeared. Rest in peace, Gallagher.
I don't know. Gallagher is a piece of shit.
What's your guys' favorite stage magician type of act? Like, what are y'all a fan of? I like it when they make stuff disappear. That's always fun.
I'm a big illusion guy. Like, oh, it looked like you stabbed somebody, but I didn't stab him. Whoa, but it looks like it's going through him.
Like the cutting him half situation.
Like in 5th grade, like we had a assembly at 5th grade, and they did a magician show because like trying to teach you no to drugs, and that this lady was floating, and it looked like she went into the drug needle. It was wild.
That would make me want to do drugs. That happened a lot
Floating
when I was in Dare.
Pretty cool.
You did drugs?
Floating is cool. No, in Dare, they were like, hey, don't do drugs because it'll make you feel like you're floating in the clouds, and it'll make your hands feel all tingly. And I was like, that kind of sounds fun, though.
The dangers of Dare.
Opposite effect. What kind of stage magic do you like, Zach?
I tell you what kind of don't like, and that's ventriloquism.
Is
that magic or is that just demonry?
I mean, it's sleight of hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Sleight of mouth?
It's sleight of mouth.
Thaumaturgy.
Andrew, do you have a particular flair that you enjoy?
I mean, I like most shows. I don't really hate shows that are bad. I mean, good. I mean, you know what I'm saying. But
And Peter likes to watch things happen, so you can.
I like
point
things.
and
Things
clap.
are fun.
I think
but I remember like magician wise, there was a comedian named the Amazing Jonathan that I remember like was amazing. He was so funny, and I think he died recently, but he was really good in like the early 2000s. He was awesome.
Huh.
Oh yeah, I remember
And-
hearing about that.
I think he was
People were
great.
sad about it.
I was sad about it, but he was awesome back then, and I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I like funny stuff. I like magician-y stuff.
So you would have liked Herman the Great and his stage show with Adelaide. I think I would have
Probably,
liked it. I think it sounds like a fun show because it's, it's magic and comedy, it's pop culture, but also it's not just like magic. It's like magic and dance and like acrobats. It's like a lot of different stuff that sounds really fun,
Yeah.
So what's everybody's trick that they came up with?
Zach, you go first.
Okay, so picture me on stage, right? And I've got like a big coat on, right? Like, so like I'm up on stage and I've got this coat on, and it's big.
Got it.
All right, and
Okay, so you're on stage
So
with the
I'm-
coat. Okay.
It's a big
so I'm
coat.
on stage,
Your big
I've got a
coat
coat
down.
on,
big
and it's
coat.
big, right? So I open the coat and
You're naked.
I'm fully clothed underneath. I'm fully
Oh,
clothed
damn.
underneath.
Oh, damn.
I open the coat kind of like coyly, and I pull out a light bulb,
Oh.
and I hold it in my hands, and it's fully lit. And then next thing you know, all of the light in the room is coming from just this light bulb. So the lights in the auditorium go out, but it's still just as bright, and it's all coming from this light bulb that's in my hand, right? And then I wave my arms, and the ceiling of the auditorium opens up, and you can see the sun, right? And then I throw the light bulb on the ground, and it breaks, and the sun goes out. And that's the trick.
What's the trick? You made the sun go away?
You do vandalism?
No,
You
because
kill us all? Without the sun, we die.
I did the thing with the light bulb, and then I did the thing with the sun, and it's
You
connected because it's light sources.
encapsulated it into the light bulb, and then you stole the sun's energy. You fucking
And then
warlock.
I broke it. And
Whoa.
then I broke it, and then the sun
And
goes
then
out,
you
and then the
killed us
planet
all.
freezes, and everyone dies. Yeah, exactly. That's how fucking
Whoa.
magic I am.
All right.
And it's called Lights Out.
Indeed,
A
it
Zach
is.
story.
Yeah.
But what's your magic trick?
So imagine me in a big coat on stage. What I do is,
Yeah. What
is,
color is it?
it's a tan khaki kind of color. You know what I'm saying? So what I do is I
you look like
You're naked
Columbo
under
up
it,
there.
aren't you?
I grab Zach, put him on stage, let him ramble for a bit, and I disappear. It's called the goodbye audience. I don't want to listen to this no more. And that's it. I'm gone. You're like, oh, where'd Bo go? But you're too busy falling asleep to Zach's story.
That's a terrible trick. I want my money back, I think.
Ta-da!
I would too, but I'm already gone. That's the
Andrew?
thing. I took your money and I'm gone. Where'd he go?
Oh, okay. So you're a con artist. Andrew,
Yeah.
what's your trick?
So I was thinking of just shooting Bo into space with a human cannonball thing, but that's not really a trick. That's more just killing Bo. So I don't want to do that.
But I'm game though. If you want to try that.
We could try. But
Okay,
so
cool.
I was thinking I would just
But
come
see,
out on
that's
stage.
the thing about shooting somebody into space, though, is that like space is mostly empty, so you can shoot him into space and he'll never hit anything. And as long as he doesn't hit anything, there's no impact force, so he'll be fine.
That's exactly how that works in space. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty sure that's
Mhm.
what Carl Sagan talked about on that one series that he made. So I'm
Cosmos.
gonna that yep. Just a picture of Bo just floating through the cosmos. Like, that's a great trick, guys.
Guys.
Well, you wouldn't be able to hear him because there's no sound in space.
Oh
Hey, we just be like,
no, you can't. You still couldn't even hear me.
Oh my God.
It'd be like this. Get it? Because you couldn't hear
That's
me.
a spot on Bowen space impression.
Yeah.
That was spot on. Sorry, my dogs are barking. My trick, I've thought about it to be a little bit easier and something more attainable and something that I would like. I would go out on stage in front of like thousands of people. I would coming out holding a container. I would sit down at a small table and chair facing the audience, place the container down, and then I'll be like, I'm going to make this disappear. And there's going to be lights like crazy music's going to be happening. A bunch of dancers are going to come out behind me, like doing, crazy stuff. And I'm going to open the thing up and it's just a big ass thing of carne asada fries. And I'm going to eat it as fast as I can. And the music's going to be really intense. And when I finish, I'm going to stand up and go, ta-da! And then I'm going to walk off stage. And really, I'm just hungry.
I want my money back.
And no, people are going to be like, holy crap. He ate it so fast. That was amazing.
It was magic. No,
You
a
have to lie
normal man
down
could
for a
never.
minute. You get all sweaty.
I'm just hungry. I just
All the
want
time.
carne
You're
asada
so
fries.
hungry.
I just love carne asada fries, okay?
Since I didn't have, I was talking, so I didn't have time to think of one. I can leave y'all with a trick that I read that Herman the Great did once that I think y'all will like.
But
tell me.
say it like that you're doing it.
Well,
Like first person description.
I'm
Yeah,
not going to
Bo
do that
style.
because there's backstory.
Fine.
Okay, fine. I'll do it, I guess. I mean,
Yay!
it's not going to be exciting because if you don't know the backstory. Okay, so
Yay,
Tell us the backstory and then tell us the first person part.
Yeah, but tell it as if you're playing the role of him.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know what he was like.
Herman is here right now?
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm Herman the Great.
It's
I have
Herman.
maybe a
Ah,
French
Herman.
accent because I was born in France. I don't really know.
It'd be Herman.
Here we go.
Herman
I'm going to
the
do
Great.
some tricks for you today, and they're going to be so spectacular. First off, here we go, and he pulled out a deck of cards. Here we go. He pulled out a deck of cards, and he started throwing them at the audience.
Hell yeah.
But not just throwing them, getting them really close to hitting people, but not. And he started throwing them farther and farther and farther away. People in the top row, he was throwing just whizzing by their heads. He went through an entire deck of cards. Then he started. He had it. So he was like doing some like fancy hand tricks, making it look good, and then flinging these cards. And people were like, "Oh, oh, oh!" And they were like laughing and having a great time. And then, when he finished with his last card, he did a little flourish, stepped off stage for a second, stepped back on, and then continued with the rest of his show. Throwing cards at people's heads was not originally in his plans, because he had been wearing his coat at dinner that had all of his stuff hidden inside of it, all of his secret pockets and whatnot for sleight of hand tricks. And he was having dinner with the manager of the theater, and they had accidentally swapped jackets at the end of the night. So he stepped on stage and was like, okay, and was like, oh, I'm wearing the wrong coat and I don't have anything. The only thing that he had was a deck of cards. And so he was like doing his thing, and he whispered to Adelaide, please go find the stage manager. He is wearing my coat. And so she was able to track down the manager.
It's like, stall for time. I got this.
Yeah, stall for time. I'll go find him. They were able to track him down. She was like, but you're wearing his coat. Come back. You didn't notice that there was a
There's
7
a fucking
foot
dove
long...
in there, bro.
Yeah, like, come on, dude. And then when he saw that the manager was there, Adelaide like signaled him, and then he swapped coats off stage and then continued the show as if nothing had happened. But he had
That's a
that
bow
little...
move. That'd be a
I thought
bow
you-
move.
I
I'd
thought
be
you
like,
guys would
Bo,
like-
stall time. Stall
That
time,
is-
Bo. And you'd be like, I got this. I'm just going to throw shit at people.
I'm gonna
do you
throw
think
stuff
he-
really close to people. But like, I'm not gonna hit them. I'm gonna throw it as close as I can to them, but not actually hit anyone.
So could
See,
you
that's
imagine
considerate.
you go to a stage show and
You
that
just
happens? Like some
throw-
guy just like says no words. Some guy like does like they're Major
I'm
Herman, and he
sure
walks out
he had
and he
words.
says nothing. And he just
He had
walks
a
out and
booming
he opens
stage
a pack of
presence.
cards and just starts throwing them at people. I'd be the funniest. I would laugh my fucking ass off.
Do you
And then
think
he
that
just
if he
walks
was-
off stage.
You think if he was
amazing.
around today, he'd be like one of those guys who spends 3 hours on a TikTok live, like throwing cards across the room, trying to get one to like land perfectly in like a binder clip?
No,
he doesn't
probably
need
not.
to. He's too busy just throwing them to have fun.
I mean,
He's probably
by all
giggling his
accounts-
ass off while he's doing it.
He'd be on the stage in Vegas, dude. Like,
Well, yeah, but like between shows, because you got to keep your brand awareness up.
I don't know, maybe.
That's how good he was. He didn't need it. He was so good that his wife he'd been dead for like 40 years and they still said that she was just a wife. That's how good he was.
Yeah. Wait. So how long? When did he die? And when did she die?
She toured for
How
30
long?
years solo.
That's nuts.
Fuck, dude. That's bonkers.
That's fucking
that sucks.
nuts.
Yeah, right? Like, he died in 1896. And her warehouse fire happened in 1926.
Wow.
And then she continued to tour for 5 years after that.
That's fucked
Yeah.
up.
So, like,
I hate
they toured together for like 20 years, and then he died, and she continued on for longer than when she was with him. I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, people forgot about Herman the Great too, but he also had less than half of. I mean, he was a magician before her, technically.
Guess he wasn't
I
so
don't know.
great. Got him. Take that, Herman, for
But,
being
like-
great.
You got him.
Bitch.
Fuck you.
Bitch.
Both of the Hermans lost to time.
Yeah.
Well, what was your favorite thing that you learned, Bo?
That she had tiny hands.
Jesus
She has
Christ,
such a
Out of all of her accomplishments,
Why are you saying it like that?
it's so
Oh.
gross.
Because they're so
Wasn't even confirmed.
hands.
Because
Fucking
they were
gross
so
guy.
small.
I think we should just cut Bo out of this entire podcast.
I disagree.
Zach, what was your favorite thing you learned?
My favorite one was the spooky ghost. The spooky ghost one. The spooky ghost story.
The spooky ghost story?
The trick that she did.
Oh, where she would
turned
get
into a
burned at the
spooky
stake and
ghost.
return as a ghost and terrorize the person who killed her.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'd be sitting in that stage. Kill him! Get him! Tear his eyes out! Grab his dick and twist it!
The old
Twist his dick.
Andrew, what was your favorite part?
I will famously say what I didn't like the most, which is that
Oh, okay.
she was forgotten and she's just wife. But I did have a fun time learning about her tricks. I really do like that where that dude just ran out and just started throwing cards at people. I think that's fucking hilarious. But I also like her crazy tricks too, where she was chasing people as ghosts and pretending to be a guy, being like, "Oh, I'm definitely a man."
And don't forget
That's
about her
pretty cool.
hands.
Levitation, dancing,
Mulan
disappearing acts,
style.
sleight of hand.
See,
She did it
hands.
all. Bullet catch. Getting shot out of a cannon.
Sleight of tiny hand.
Ooh.
But I also like my trick that I thought up, so I'm gonna go practice that.
Did you get carnitas on the prize? You go
I'm
treat
gonna find
yourself.
some.
I wish I had some cardiac fries. That sounds good.
Abracadabra, give me some carnitas fries.
Zach, you took us into this episode?
I'm surprised that we made it this entire way without a single abracadabra. Abracadabeau.
Because it's hard to get
It
out.
doesn't work.
Watch this.
That's why we did. That's why we didn't.
Abracadabra.
No.
Abeaucadabeau.
Oh, duh. Abeaucadabra. This whole fucking
Abeaucadabra.
time.
No, wait.
It eluded me.
Abeaucadabeau.
You stole my joke.
Oh, sorry. Both say it.
Abeaucadabra.
Classic thief.
Zach,
Yeah.
take us out.
Say,
Okay.
why'd you make that noise?
I don't know, and I immediately regretted it.
Guys, so much.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Get Dumped On, an Info Dump podcast. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review, send us an email, or better yet, leave a public comment on one of our Instagram posts, because higher engagement gets us favored by the algorithm.
You're engaged.
If you like the podcast, tell a friend to tell a friend. Post randomly about us on the internet, or just let people know that we're out here and we're doing this thing. Thanks for listening, and I really appreciate that you're taking your time out of your day to listen to us ramble on. I enjoyed being here, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Our email is getdumpedonpod@gmail.com. We are
Getdumpedonpodcast@gmail.com.
getdumpedonpodcast@gmail.com. Get Dumped On Pod on Instagram. And we just made a subreddit. Please, you can be the first post on it.
Post
That
your
is
tiny hands.
r/Get
Post your
Dumped On.
tiny hands for me.
Don't do that.
I
Please
want
don't
to
do
see the
that.
tiny hands.
So
Let us know if you've
thanks
ever
for
heard of
listening.
Adelaide Herrman. I'd be very interested.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Leave us a positive review. If you
thanked
don't
them
want to
for
give us
listening
a
4
positive
times in your
review,
outro. Just a heads
It's
up.
really
Yeah.
thankful.
keep
For
it to
everybody who's
know.
listening.
No.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Hey,
Hey, Brooke, thanks for listening.
Hey, thanks for listening. Justin's dad.
Bye. I've been Zach.
Oh,
I've been
oh.
Zach, and that's been Bo, and that's been Andrew, and that's been Ash.
Bye. We got the meats.
Okay, bye. Okay, thanks for listening. Thank you. I hope you liked it.
Adelaide's got the meats.
Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and learned a bunch of stuff. And Bo and Andrew didn't go to college and were able to sidestep mountains of unnecessary debt. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Well, grab your friends. Let's listen together on Get Dumped On. cat.
At Adelaide, magic her way.
Oh, bye.
Magic.
Oh, bye. That was too Mickey Mousey. I regret making that so Mickey Mousey.